We want to thank Brand Storytelling for having us here today. It's great to be in a room of people that actually, truly care about storytelling. We all believe it's inspiring, and most importantly, we believe that it works.
And you can now look at the screen. We're all trying to measure it, right? Who's trying to measure brand storytelling? Come on. Don't be afraid. We have to prove that it works, right? To quantify the power of brand storytelling. Is that quantification driving a lift in sales, direct, impactful, that mecca of measurement? Is it showing a change in brand perception, lift in purchase intent, proving the risk that you took so that John doesn't get fired from Screen Vision, right? Well, regardless of the format, the platform, the audience, you take the right brand storytelling, the right distribution, it's a game changer. But proving that success is critical to all of our futures and the future of brand storytelling. And that's why we're here today. We want to share with you some powerful examples of brand storytelling that was paired with very important measurement to prove the success and showed how those risks paid off.
Great. So today we're going to cover the spectrum, right? We're going to give you 3 case studies that are very, very different from each other that have proven measurement. One case study is going to be branded content that was directly tied to IP at NBCU. The other one is a case study of something that was contextually aligned with some of our IP. And the third one is totally bespoke and built from the ground floor up.
But before we get into it, we want to share with you what we do here at NBCU every day through a new type of a storytelling format that we created through our exclusive partnership with Broadway Video, creators of SNL. Let's play the video, please.
Are you looking to evolve your content marketing strategies? Are you overwhelmed by the number of content options and platforms to choose from? Hey folks, Jack and Neil here with a big surprise. It's the NBCU Content Studio, the studio that's changing the way brands tell stories and reach audiences.
But how do they do it?
Let's just say that this whole chicken is your content.
Not snackable at all, Jack.
That's where NBCUniversal comes in. You see, every piece of content they create is injected with insights and the expertise of best-in-class storytelling. And you're gonna fill it up. That's across all genres.
Amazing!
But wait, there's more. What? There's always more. Now, Neil, I want you to imagine that this cola is your message, and this carpet is your content. Uh-oh, this is your audience before you evolve your content plans. Oh boy, none of it's getting absorbed. So this is your audience when you use NBCU and their audience studio data. Look at it. It's absorbing everything. Your message is soaking right up there. Now let's talk platforms. Linear, digital, social.
Everywhere!
NBCU's massive distribution ecosystem gives you unparalleled reach. Now let's say that this knife is your content, and these foods are your platforms. See how this content, it's cutting through some, but it's not cutting across all platforms. What you need is a little cross-platform fluency. See, the NBCU Content Studio builds your content to drive effectiveness and meet the needs of your platform's audience.
The NBCU Content Studio has changed my life.
It's great, I like it.
My hair is shinier, my relationship with my husband is better. I ran a 4-minute mile and I stopped crying in the bathroom at work.
You get all of this content and usage rights. Turn your disillusion into distribution by calling the NBCU Content Studio and achieving big results today. NBCU is waiting on the line, ready to create content across all genres and platforms. So don't delay. Call now and meet your KPIs today.
So we're here to talk about brand storytelling, and the key word there is story, right? If we don't have a great story, we're never going to engage our consumers, and that's what it's all about. So the first example I'm going to give is probably around the best storytellers out there right now with This Is Us. This Is Us has changed the game for broadcast television lately, and for those of you that watch it, it is a totally relatable show, very family-oriented, and you could relate to one of those characters in an easy way. So when TJ Maxx came to us and they wanted to really emphasize how important they were to families and create an emotional connection with their actual consumers, what we decided to do was send our production teams to actual TJ Maxx stores to create this piece of branded content that we're about to play for you here.
Family is key to life. It's so important. All right, here we go, and let's roll sound.
So nervous.
When I saw her, it's a beautiful baby. She still is.
I had a charmed life as a reporter for a major newspaper. Your career will end with your last paycheck, but a life's work goes on forever.
I used to work in athlete representation, so I babysat professional athletes for my career. And when I got multiple sclerosis, I had to make a change.
Family is not always perfect, but what you have in the end.
My dad says if I shouldn't be worried, you shouldn't be worried.
I loved you.
I love you too.
So bringing this back to what Wendy was talking about, it's about measurement. How effective was this? And emotion was really what TJ Maxx was after. Don't cry, it's okay. It's just a piece of branded content. So we partnered with Magid and we used their emotional DNA tool. And This Is Us was the perfect place. They measure over 1,200 television shows, and not surprisingly, This Is Us at the very top when it comes to multiple touch points from emotional connection. So therefore, by creating that spot that you just saw and an entire series of spots similar to that, we were able to get TJ Maxx those desired attributes they wanted from an emotional connection. But we had further learnings from that also. And the key thing that we found out is that environment really, really does matter. We had this content run within This Is Us programming, and then we also tested it when it ran in isolation. And what we found, not surprisingly, is that because it was so contextually aligned with This Is Us, when it ran in the This Is Us environment, it was 23% more likely to grab viewers' attention, 12% more likely that people would go to TJ Maxx to purchase things, and made TJ Maxx 19% more likable. Great storytelling, but environment truly matters.
And in speaking of environment, data-driven learning from those environments is critical. That's table stakes for all of us. I'm sure everybody agrees with that. When we think about launching that content and putting it in those environments, nurturing that content while it's live, from a minute-to-minute sometimes perspective, is critical to drive performance through all of these things that you see on the screen, except viewability we won't get us all started on. But when we think about measurement, right, measuring that performance, measuring the success of that campaign actually can be the thing that helps us drive more funding, influence media mix modeling, and really impact the future investment for content. And there are a slew of innovative research methodologies and vendors today that can deliver on that. So whether it's facial coding, eye tracking, biometric, virtual shopping, we have some examples that we're going to share quickly because the clock is ticking.
Great. So our next example here, we talked about the importance of emotional connection already, but how do we turn emotional connection into action? And we partnered with our friends, the marketing arm, who I believe are in here somewhere, and we created Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which was a campaign specifically made for State Farm. What we did is we found out two key things. State Farm wanted to emphasize how important they were in local communities and how much they truly cared about local communities. But they also had a key finding that unfortunately, volunteerism across the country is at an all-time low right now. So what we did is we created branded content spots made specifically for digital and social, which was a call to action. And it showed people how they could actually get involved and volunteer in their neighborhood. Whether they only had an hour a month to volunteer or a day a month to volunteer, we showed the right way that they can get involved. And then to take it a step further and to complete this program, we then picked 3 people who went above and beyond in their local communities, and we actually highlighted them in the Today Show on air and created segments around them. So this was a complete State Farm and Today Show package that had on air, digital, and social branded content pieces. So what were the results here? Well, fantastic, obviously. 91% improved the opinion of State Farm. One of the key metrics for State Farm was getting people to go to their website because that's where they could actually learn how to become more involved in their neighborhoods. And we were able to lift exposure to their site by 11%. 80% of the people said they were more interested in State Farm, knowing how important local communities was to them. And probably the most gratifying is that 68% of the people who were exposed to this partnership said it inspired them to actually volunteer.
So moving to the other end of that spectrum that we showed earlier, in creating completely bespoke content, not tied to IP or an existing show, franchise. At NBC, we have a team through the Content Studio that actually maps our organization to help brands create original content by tapping into storytellers and to develop content that's completely ownable for the brand. For Yoplait in particular, they were actually relaunching their brand. Their whole initiative was focused on disarming mom judgment, and they were taking a real stand in that area. And so what we did with Yoplait was create a social experiment called Moms Undercover, where we brought in social media influencers. I mom so hard, many of you may know them. And we activated a series of videos in partnership with Broadway Video to really prove that moms do actually have each other's back. And so with that, we actually had a fully baked distribution plan that had nothing to do with TV. So we don't always have to use the power of TV to drive scale. We had social, we had digital video programming, and we activated in partnership with BuzzFeed and Vox Media. So we'll take a quick look at this video that gives a bit of a recap of the program, and we'll talk about measurement after.
We are from I Mom So Hard, and we are so excited because we are teaming up with Yoplait, and we're doing this really cool hidden camera social experiment about moms.
Moms face a lot of judgment on social media.
But we found in real life that moms can count on each other.
Oh hey, it's me, Mom, out here in public, catching some side-eye. First rule of motherhood, someone's always judging.
Moms always have each other's backs.
This is George.
He retired and he moved to Alaska.
Why?
Well, hamsters retreat. That's where all the old hamsters go to kick it.
Why?
Because they don't want to be with the young hamsters. It's too rowdy.
With the assist. That was so much fun.
We proved our point. All those moms had our back.
Yoplait, Mom on.
Mom on.
Mom on.
So that's a very brand-heavy campaign. There was no product featured in it, but they needed to prove, because they were taking a big risk, that it actually drove sales. We weren't going to have access to that sales data, so we worked very closely with a research partner called IC to measure both the emotional connection and the sales intent, purchase intent, excuse me, and we measured through a combination of facial coding, eye tracking, and we're able to actually look at each piece of content in its distinctive environment. That's the hardest thing to measure, right? When you're doing a multi-platform campaign, how do you look and see how social performed versus on-domain performed versus in all these other environments? So we're able to accomplish that and look at how the eyes and the face responded from an emotional perspective to that content. Then we fed them into a virtual shopping experience that actually replicated a refrigeration aisle and worked very closely with the brand team to determine which products were on the shelf, the competitive set, the flavors, all of the above. And we were able to very closely attribute viewing of the content to driving sales. So there are ways that you can work with partners to really quantify the success of content, even if you don't have access to that sales data. And other examples, content works across all categories, whether it's financial, skincare, or food, right? Engaging with content, measuring it properly, you can show a lift. And what's better than actually driving sales? So here's an example of a program that we executed with Sabra. They were launching a new product in market, 10 markets, no media running. This was a make or break for the product. The KPI was sales. They didn't care if we did a study and showed lift and intent. They were excited about awareness, but at the end of the day, they needed to show lift, sales, actual product moving on the shelves. So we measured it Over time, over 4 weeks, we showed a 15 to 17% week-over-week lift in sales. And the key ingredients here are creating content that shows product benefit, that tells a powerful story, but that's targeted, right? So here's an example of that. And as we say, the proof is in the pudding. We're all here to move this business forward together. And so proving that success, but then marketing the success is really critical. And we feel as a community, it's really important to bring that topic up and discuss it. And at NBCU, we hold ourselves accountable to that metric. And we look forward to working with all of you and pushing the agenda of brand storytelling forward. Thank you.